Hi, and welcome to Five Things After USC takes down Notre Dame 38-27. That moves the Trojans to 11-1 this season. They've got at least two more here to go to finish out the season. They're going to play Friday night in the Pac-12 championship game. But before we get there, let's go five things from this one. Erik McKinney joined as always by Greg Katz and Marc Kulkin. We're going to start with our first thing, and that's the player of the game. Greg, go ahead. Your player of the game.
Well, I'm picking twin players of the game on offense. Caleb Williams, he's won the Heisman Trophy. I don't see how that's not going to be in the cards. It is going to be in the cards. You can mark it right now. Mark likes to deal with statistics, so I'll let him deal with the statistical part of it if that's his choice. But I really thought Austin Jones was tremendous. I mean, I thought for what he needed to do and what he actually did against a tough Notre Dame defense, he was 6.2 average, about 154 yards rushing, and he just was relentless. I mean, some guys you get excited about because they have that extra burst and then they break a long one. It was just like he was a pinball. He just would not go down, and he moved the chains. And so I'm making them both player of the game.
Mark, go ahead. Your player of the game.
Yeah, I mean, Austin definitely deserves some kudos and some recognition, but USC just probably crowned their 8th Heisman Trophy winner tonight, and it's going to be really hard to not make him the player of the game. I mean, his numbers are actually kind of pedestrian, so to speak. At least Drew Pine actually had a better night throwing the ball than Caleb Williams. But Caleb, again, nearly perfect, 18 for 22, 232 yards, 1 touchdown through the air. But it was the 3 that he had on the ground that just made it just Caleb Williams' night to strike the pose. And yeah, USC's got their 8th Heisman coming unless weird things happen.
No, Heisman Trophy winner Caleb Williams is going to be the player of the game for this one, and yeah, how do you between Caleb Williams and Austin Jones, it was a 1-2 punch that USC really needed in this one, and I really liked Austin Jones, how physical he was, and I may bring this up 2 or 3 times as we go through this recap here, but it was very clear that USC wanted to out physical Notre Dame in the run game, everywhere on the field. They wanted to take it to Notre Dame. And I think the way that Austin Jones ran, it wasn't a bunch of really long runs. It was sort of this mix of a scalpel, the way he found these holes and was patient and took what was there. And then when he finished the run, he finished the run. He finished over defenders. That was really just an outstanding running back performance, I thought, from Austin Jones in that one. Let's go to our second thing. That's going to be the play of the game. Greg, back to you. What did you see as the play of this one?
Well, there could have been a lot of different plays of the game. The 2 that stuck out for me was the interception by Caleb Bullock to almost put the nail in the coffin a little bit at the end. It was like, okay, we can all take a deep breath now. And that one stuck out. But the other one that stuck out to me was the catch by Taj Washington near the goal line when SC was driving. It was a tremendous throw, but it was equally a tremendous catch because there was 2 guys on him, and it kept everything alive. And, Washington has been getting better and better and better and more reliable. I think they have no problem throwing to him, and I can see the reason why. And the thing about him is he catches the ball, and then he has like the moves of a cricket. He's just like, here I am, there I go. And all of a sudden he can be in the end zone in a hurry. But I thought both of them, for me, those were the ones that stood out in a night of a lot of things that stood out, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Mark, your play of the game.
Oh, it's Kalen's interception. It sealed the game. I mean, it for all intents and purposes. I mean, for whatever reason, Notre Dame was having some success throwing the ball. For Kalen to step up and make that interception at that point, it took any hope that Notre Dame had away. That was the dagger. It was huge.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna go a couple of defensive plays in this. I mean, first of all, right, you want to talk about any of Caleb Williams' scrambles, keeping the play alive, or any of the 3 rushing touchdowns? Yeah, absolutely, right up there. But the Notre Dame fumble was huge. They were driving and looked like they could go in, and after that fumble, they scored touchdowns on back-to-back long drives. And so if that goes for a touchdown too, then you're in sort of a back and forth thing that the UCLA game turned into there. That one, and then I thought the 4th down stop fairly early in the game, and USC didn't go score after that one, but I talked in kind of the first thing about being physical and that sort of idea. Notre Dame, they had to think we can come into this game and we can run it. We can run it up the middle, and they did try quite a bit. That was one, a 4th and short, that you assume they're rolling guys out there thinking, let's go pick this up and keep the drive going, for USC to kind of stand up and do what they did on that specific play. And then really against the Notre Dame running game for almost the entire game. That to me was kind of a tone setter and a big play from defense, where we're talking USC offense for the most part, and they absolutely deserve it. But there have been times when the USC defense, when they need it, they've been able to get it this year, and that's going to be, I think, significant going forward if they need to keep that going. Let's go to the third thing. Expectation met. The expectation you had for this game coming in, that you saw play out in this one. Greg, go ahead.
I thought the crowd of 72,000, not quite the sellout. I was hoping that I wouldn't be able to see any empty seats, but once everyone actually got in to the Coliseum, and usually I've been pretty critical of the DJ, to be honest with you, but he did have an effect on the game. He had an effect because he got the crowd to respond to what he wanted them to do when he wanted them to do it. And, that's why I used to have yell leaders to get the crowd motivated. So my expectation was that the crowd was going to show up, which they did, and they were going to be really vocal, which they were. And like Lincoln Riley said, this is what a home field advantage is supposed to look like. Well, I mean, if you went through the Pete Carroll era, you definitely know what the home field advantage looked like, because you saw it when it was filled and people were, it was like being in the gladiators. That's why they call it the Coliseum. Okay. But I thought that for the most part, the fans were rewarded tonight with what they saw. They had to be thrilled.
Mark, your expectation that was met?
Yeah, it was just the big game atmosphere to finally arrive. USC was going for that 11th win, to move up hopefully move up in the playoff poll, to position Caleb as the front runner for the Heisman, and they accomplished all of it. And Lincoln Riley talked about it after the game. He says, I watched this game on TV before, but to finally feel the Coliseum with that type of energy, it was pretty special. So, yeah, hopefully it's the first of many more to come in a row now.
Yeah, mine coming in was Lincoln Riley. He mentioned during the week, when he was asked about the Notre Dame offense, the first thing he threw out is they're good. They haven't given up more than 400 yards in a game. And I kind of mentally checked, okay, SC's going to go for more than 400 yards in this one. And they went for 436, didn't blow it away, but first team against Notre Dame to get over 400. And then right before the game, we're watching the team kind of come down the peristyle steps and walk across the field. And we try to, take a look. A lot of times it's, what's Dennis Lynch wearing or things like that at that point in the day. But
the red carpet treatment.
Absolutely. I saw Austin Jones, and I kind of locked on him a little bit. The way he walked in, it was maybe the most kind of all business type of strut and stare and focus that I'd seen. And Mark, I turned to you before the game started, and I said, Austin Jones is going today. This is going to be an Austin Jones night. And I think for the way the table was set for kind of Caleb Williams to do that, to then see Austin Jones come out and run the way he did. Again, that's kind of whatever he wore, whatever his focus was before the game, carry that into Friday and carry that into whatever postseason games that USC plays in. So again, that was something where, after the game, it was clear how obviously they wanted to dominate up front and run against Notre Dame. All right, so that's going to take us to our fourth thing. Greg, we're going to go back to you. That's the surprise for you from this game.
Well, surprise to me was how they could hold Notre Dame's rushing attack. And it wasn't that they just held them to 90 yards. It's the way they did it, which told me that what happened with the Charbonnet the week before was not that big a fluke, that they did it. I mean, they did it on like 4th and 1. In fact, I'm gonna give young Kulkin a little credit here. He called the 4th and 1. He saw it that we didn't get that. They didn't get that first down, and Notre Dame didn't get the first down. And when I saw that, I said, "Am I looking at the same defense I've seen all year?" One of the things I thought was an unbelievable mistake by Notre Dame is they tried early to run wide rather than just pound straight ahead, and SC just tracked them down in a hurry. And we didn't see too much of that later on. But I thought the rush defense was really, for the most part, when we did miss some tackles, was pretty tough. Pretty tough.
Mark, you're surprised from this one.
Yeah, I touched on it a few minutes ago. USC anticipated Notre Dame wanting to come in and run the ball and run it at them and keep running it at them. It was almost like the script flipped. USC ran the ball at Notre Dame. Notre Dame threw the ball all over USC. Drew Pine started the game 15 for 15. That surprised the heck out of me. I mean, he wasn't known as a passing quarterback. So, I don't know if anything else really surprised me much more than that. I did not see that coming. That wasn't on my bingo card.
Yeah, I'm gonna combine both of those. So Notre Dame rushes for 90 yards. They had a 24-yard run and an 18-yard run. And I know, you can always play the stats game of, if you take this away and this away, well, you didn't take them away. But if you look at those, Notre Dame is down to 48 yards rushing on 24 carries for the rest of the game. That is shocking. And I thought it was interesting. Lincoln Riley, after the game, I don't want to say let slip, but with coaches so focused on, we don't hear outside noise, he said, hey, we got tired of hearing from everybody that they're going to come in and pound the rock on us and run, and we're not going to be able to stop them. That was a point of pride for him and the team, I think, to do that. And we've touched on it a bunch, but it does feel like if a team comes in and thinks, we're gonna blow these guys off the ball and we're gonna run straight up the middle and we're gonna do, just out physical them all over the place. Notre Dame had tight ends everywhere, big offensive linemen, big NFL offensive linemen out there. This USC team can stand up to that. Again, you talked about UCLA. That's 2 weeks in a row where they've been able to do that. And I think, to your point, Mark, where the surprise absolutely is Drew Pine's game and the fact that he did that. I think USC is okay if they make the opponent. Notre Dame did not come in here thinking, we need Drew Pine to go 23 of 26 and throw for 300 yards and do all this stuff. If they make that team uncomfortable and kind of doing things the way that they didn't think, I think that's a win for USC, sort of regardless how it plays out. If you're making your team, the opponent, go to sort of a B thing. Now, you got to knock some passes down. You got to figure out how to get in there and fix that. But I do think that's kind of an interesting tactic where we've seen quarterbacks kind of have career days against USC, but is that what the offensive coordinator, is that what the head coach of the other team really wanted their game plan to be going in there? Just kind of food for thought a little bit, but Alex Grinch talks about that too. He's like, hey, they're great plays. We got to make some great plays too. We got to knock some stuff down. We got to get in there. We got to play defense. But another win for the USC defense gets credit for wins too, just like the offense does. And that is going to take us to our fifth thing. We're looking forward after this one. And Greg, go ahead with your biggest takeaway from this game.
Well, 2 takeaways. Caleb Williams has won the Heisman Trophy. It's just a matter of making the announcement. I can't believe that he could blow it in the Pac-12 championship game. I don't think that's going to be, I don't know what the voting deadline is, but, big thanks to Notre Dame for always playing a part in SC's Heisman Trophy bids. Uh, appreciate that, Irish. And you know what? After 11, you are what you are after 12 games. SC good. They're really imbalanced, but they're really good. They're really good on offense. And Caleb Williams is fantastic. And the defense in the last couple of games has improved so that they're proving to themselves. And I think the team collectively, my biggest takeaway, these guys have never won anything. Okay. They're coming from 4-8. Like Justin Deed had said during the week, we got a lot of old heads on this team, and we really haven't experienced what winning big means. But the guys that are coaching us do, and we're relying on them to guide us through so we know what it's like. And I would think after the last two games here that they're good and ready to play in the Pac-12 championship game. And they're good enough, in my opinion, at this point, based on the scores of what happened this weekend, they're good enough to be number 4 in the college football playoffs if things shake out in any sense that they could. Not like out of this world could, but ESPN's had 14 writers tonight that said they voted on it. And out of 14 writers, 14 of them had USC as the number 4 seed in the playoffs. So, we'll see what happens next week, but where we are today, that was my biggest takeaways.
Mark, your biggest takeaway from this one?
They're 11-1, and this team not only is good enough to win the Pac-12 conference championship game, this team, I think, what I gathered watching these guys perform tonight, especially on defense, and then you hear them talk after the game. Lincoln Riley before the game talked about they had a vision. I think this team believes they can win it all this year. And when you got a team that believes in themselves and they're always being told, no, you're not good enough, USC doesn't usually take on an underdog mentality, but I almost feel like they're playing with that chip on their shoulder right now. And that's the last thing you want to do with a Heisman winner. This team's dangerous. And next week, we're going to find out how dangerous they are Friday night in Las Vegas. And yeah, of course, ESPN's saying they're number 4. TCU's moving up to number 3. Michigan's moving up to 2. Georgia's not going to drop from 1. The question is, where is USC really ranked at the end of next week? Because they get into that number 3 spot, man, you might have what? USC, Michigan, Rose Bowl, in Glendale, Arizona to start off the playoffs. They got to get by Washington or Utah, whomever they're playing. Has it gone final yet?
No,
so
not
that's
yet.
that's my takeaway. USC is good enough to win it all this year.
Yeah,
even
I'm kind of in that boat too, and I don't know if they're good enough. What I do know from this game is that they believe they're good enough, right? I think the way they came out on this one, there was a lot of talk this week. There was a lot of talk about, can USC get in the playoff? Is Caleb Williams the Heisman winner? Like as much sort of off the field distraction that you can throw at a team, that came this week for USC. And for them to kind of, roll the windows up, not hear it, come out focused, play well from the start, and really kind of do what they wanted for big chunks of the game against a Notre Dame team that's good. This is not the Notre Dame team that lost to Marshall and lost to Stanford and that kind of team. They came out and they played hard. It's always Notre Dame, UCLA. It doesn't matter what their records are. They're going to play hard against USC. You're going to get a game from them. And so I think that the way this team is constructed, somehow the personalities that came together, the talents that kind of all came together, it's worked. There were questions all offseason. How does this team gel? How do they play together? How do they back each other up? Whatever happened in those early meetings, it absolutely worked. These guys play for each other. They play together. It is really remarkable to watch. They're going to go out and they're going to feel, I think, like they should win whoever they line up against in the Pac-12 championship game. It will not surprise me at all if they are a handful of points favorite and maybe more than that against whoever. And then if they win that game, they're going to feel like they can match up against anybody that they see in the playoff. If they're 4, if they're 3, if they're whatever, they're going to go out and play hard. And I think that's a really fascinating place for this team constructed the way it was to be at this point in the season. So again, that's our 5 things from USC's 38-27 win against Notre Dame that absolutely keeps them alive in that conversation for a spot in the college football playoff. For Marc Kulkin, for Greg Katz, this is Erik McKinney. Thanks for watching 5 Things. Thanks for watching We Are SC.